Hello, everyone. It's Art Russell here at Think Twice on YouTube and thinktwice.me at wordpress.com. So you might be thinking, why the tie, big guy? Because I believe that a video that's entitled The End of Suffering deserves it. It's kind of a special occasion, if you know what I mean. If you watch this video through to the end, I hope that you'll feel that the information shared, when contemplated deeply and lived, has the potential to alleviate some of the apparent suffering related to your circumstance. Suffering, we're all very familiar with it. We experience it directly or we witness it. The young child that doesn't get what he or she wants suffers. We see the tears or the tantrum. The young teenager that experiences a first romantic breakup suffers. An adult man or woman that experiences a painful divorce or sudden death of a spouse suffers. And the majority of humans just believe, understandably, that, well, this is just life, Art. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, even the Buddha said that life is suffering. But he also offered a way out. And I'm also sharing that information. We suffer because there's a couple of assumptions. And the key to transcend this is greater understanding. We suffer because we identify 100% thoroughly and completely with the perspective of the person. Now, I deliberately use the word perspective, not the person. We believe without doubt that we are the person. We're conditioned to believe this right from the get-go. Now, here's the key. We're conditioned to believe that we are the person that is actually rendered via the mind. Our assumption is that the person arises of its own accord, that it has life independent of a greater life. It does not. So in other words, we believe that a conceptual self, we make the erroneous major assumption that a conceptual self lives of its own accord. And so that means anything that character goes through, either the good or the bad, we're going to suffer. We don't realize that it's a conceptual self made of mind. Now, the Bible points this out clearly in Acts 17:28. Now, I'm no Bible authority, but I've come across this information through reading a lot of spiritual books and books about the law of attraction. Acts 17:28 states, "For in him, capital, that would be consciousness or God for a religious term, for in him we live and move and have our being." In him being consciousness or God. Now, this is also pointed out in another book entitled I Am That, which chronicles talks between seekers who went to see Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who realized his true nature when he was, I believe, 37. The seeker asks, which rises first, the seeker or the world? And Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj stated, they both arise together. So the seeker, I represent this as the smaller one. In a bigger world, they're propped up together in the waking state. Now, the erroneous position or perspective is this: as the person believes, oh, I live on my own. So it believes it's separate within the bigger world. Mind is creating both of these. The person, which is a mind structure, a conceptual fabricated self, in a world which is also constructed by infinite living mind. Now, to many of you, this may seem insane because it so is contrary to what we've been conditioned to believe. But keep this in mind, if you will. The person, so the sufferer and the condition being suffered, are both witnessed. This suggests that our true identity, identity, I am, free of all the definitions, is separate from the body-mind, which is another term for the person. Our true identity, I amness, is consciousness witnessing or knowing all of this. Birth and death of the character, that's birth and death are just the parenthesis of the character within a dream. It's a story of your character told in living 3D high definition dream. Now, I'm not suggesting that once we know this, that circumstances, both good and bad, that we label good and bad, are going to stop. They're going to continue. But when we know that they're made of mind stuff, this is where the importance of what we're thinking and feeling makes a tremendous difference. We're at least going to see clearly any situations that arise. And if we find ourselves identifying again with the character, which is a perspective seen, we also witness thoughts that we believe arise in the brain. This is a fallacy. This is all occurring within a dream. Clear seeing, greater understanding is the key. We'll know that situations are occurring, but not to the character, but we'll know that they're not really happening to us. There'll be a stepping back from the character that we have believed to be. In truth, we actually suffer our belief in being the character. So moving on here. To understand this clearly, let's examine dreams. When nighttime dreams occur, I would say that everyone believes that they are the character involved, the perspective. Whether you're flying over an ocean, a great ocean in an airplane, or crossing a desert, or making love, or going through a very scary situation, we believe it 100% during the dream. And when the body-mind, and now I have to state this differently, because when the body-mind arises in the morning, the assumption, we fall into the habitual belief that we are the person, and we think, wow, that was only a dream and I got to get on with my day. Not knowing that the body, mind, and the world, as Sri Nisargadatta stated, are both arise together. We've just entered the waking state. And it's a continuing play in which our character interacts, has experiences, in a world that seems very real. That's part of the key to greater understanding. Now I'll share part of my personal story and how this changed for me and why I feel that I can share this information in a way that I hope will ring true to you. I'm not just relating information that I've gathered from books. This is direct experience. In 2006, this character, who I 100% believed that I was at that time, experienced a sudden divorce. And because I still cared about it very deeply, the marriage, there was suffering. And I believed that it was I was totally immersed in the belief that I am Art Russell with all this apparent history. All there is here and now. So there's no room for an actual matter-based world. All there is now. Now. Flash into existence, flash out. Flash into existence, flash out. Flashing, just like a dream. We don't expect there to be solid bodies around us when we wake up in the morning if there's been characters in the dream. We know they were made of mind stuff. That's the same for this. There's one consciousness apparently being the multitude, which at this current time in history, which is within consciousness, 8 billion. Consciousness is playing all the roles. All the roles. Now, what else do I have to give you here? That's the bulk of this. Just realize that anything that occurred during your nighttime dream, we realize, well, it had to be made of mind. That's what I'm saying this is made of. So, a couple of illustrations. They're not major ones, but your personality is a collection of beliefs held to be true. Beliefs don't have to be true. In fact, they're just representations. They're just collections of thoughts about. Real life happens free of interpretation of it. We don't have to think to experience life. In fact, our true nature is just life itself. So let's really get that. Your personality is a collection of beliefs held to be true. This is why now Joe Dispenza uses this, but I read it first, I believe, in the Master Key System book, a book about law of attraction teachings from Charles FNL. But Joe Dispenza is the one who is really famous right now for using it. He said to change your personal reality, you've got to change your personality. Basically, imagine that you're someone else. And then watch that and the conditions related to that perspective be made real. Where? Within a dream. I'll leave you with this, and I hope you get it very deeply. Your true self is I am, period. I am. Free of the definitions. The Bible relates this through the famous account related to Moses, and he was questioning, who shall I say sent me? And the reply came intuitively, or whether he heard it spoken, I don't know. I am that I am. Consciousness. I call it God. It's really can't be named, can't be pointed to. Consciousness is the foundation of this reality, not matter. Science has been telling us this for a long, long time. I hope that you've really benefited in some way, at least, given you something to consider. This is not a belief to be adopted. I'd like to end with that. It can be known directly. That's the only way it really has value. If you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to click a like or subscribe to my channel. You can find free information through my articles at my blog at thinktwice.me. And there's also information available through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, which is available through Amazon. Bye for now. We'll talk again soon.